Brian Kohberger is believed to be the killer that murdered the four Idaho students by the name of Xana Canola, Maddie Morgan, Kaylee Conclave, and Ethan Chapman. The police are confident that this is the perpetrator. His family does not appear to be confident in his innocence. However, Brian Kohberger have declared that he is eager to prove his innocence. Since he is presumed to be innocent until found guilty in a court of law, we must wait and see how a trial on the merits play out. I am still not convinced that Brian Kohberger is the killer simply because they arrested him. I'm of the opinion that if he is the killer, he had help from somebody. And I believe he had help from somebody from Sigma Chi fraternity. Now, here's why I say that. They say he called in a radio station and he stated that he was working with 10 Sigma Chi fraternity people. And they asked him, how would you commit a crime? How would you murder somebody and get away with it? This brings me to the point where the police early in the investigation stated that Ethan Chapman attended the Sigma Chi party. Nobody could remember when he left. And they said there was a gap between the time he left in the party from the Sigma Chi and from the time he arrived home. That is the reason why I say that if Brian Kohberger is the killer, he had accomplices. Now, earlier, I always asserted that it was my opinion that the two surviving roommates was the killer or had something to do with it. Today, I am still of that opinion. I am not convinced that they didn't have anything to do with it. I'm just not convinced. Now, and the reason I'm not convinced that they did not have anything to do with it is because their door was locked. Ethan Chapman, Maddie Morgan, and Xana Canola and Kayla Conclaves, their doors were unlocked. So that is why I believe that they had something to do with it as well. That's just my belief. Now, it's no different than since the police arrested Brian Kohberger, people believe that he is the killer. That's how simple it is to arrive at an opinion. Simply because he arrested, a lot of people believe that they got the right guy. And they may have the right guy and they may not have the right guy. But at this point in the game, it appears that his parents, mother, father, sister, don't believe that he's innocent. I don't believe that they really believe that he's innocent. It's simply by the way that they're acting. And I can say this. They said when Brian Kohberger was arrested, he asked, has anybody else been arrested? That could mean many things to many people, but to me, he was asking, have his co-conspirators been arrested? That's why I believe that somebody at the frat house may have worked with him. I don't believe that this man, Brian Kohberger, could go in a home by himself where he has never been and don't know what to expect unless somebody at that frat house told him. It's just my opinion. It's just my rationale, just based on the totality of the situation. And like I tell anybody, your opinion can be wrong. That's why it's an opinion. You just form an opinion based on what you know. A lot of times murders are not rational, but I just don't believe that Brian Kohberger would randomly go into this particular party house unless he attended that frat party, talked to people, talked to those particular frat guys that he was talking to, and not know the layout unless they told him. They had to tell him. Now, if the police has DNA, whether it's in the form of blood, fingerprints, hair fibers, or whatever, if they can place Kohberger in that home, they got the killer. But I just don't believe that he worked by himself, went in there and killed 4 people, took the time to clean up. I just don't believe he worked alone. So it remains to be seen what evidence the police connects him, because the police at the time apparently just believe he worked alone, but they don't really know, because if some of the other frat people fingerprints was in the home, it would really be relevant at the time, because they can argue that they've been in the home, they partied in the home, so they can pretty much justify their fingerprints, hair fibers, etc. there. So they wouldn't be able to justify their blood mixed with their blood. And once again, I believe that somebody had to hold those victims. And I do believe that he may just have had help from somebody in that frat house, whether it be 1 or 2 or 3 people. He had help, in my opinion. So until a trial on the merits is done, until the case move on, we really won't know anything about it. We can speculate, and there's nothing wrong with speculating. So good morning to all my subscribers, and thank you for subscribing. And if you like and you're not a subscriber, subscribe and share.